So depleting high quality public data is kind of what we're getting at here. So much of the high quality, diverse, and easily accessible public data out on the web has already been scraped and used for existing LLMs. So the new models will have little fresh data to learn from if we're going to restrict access to the information. And it's funny, the people who create LLMs have always been open and honest about this. In other words, they know that the first generation of the LLMs that were based on information, for the last 150 years, or as long as we're gathering information and digitally enabling it, books, articles, things like that, that the best bang for the buck was going to be the first instances of those LLMs, because they're in essence taking the training of all the information that was created from the beginning of time and is available on the open internet. And it knows that we're not generating data at the same rate that we did over the last 150 years. And so, therefore, the new versions of the LLMs that are trained with the information that's out there, there's not a lot of net new information relative to what they saw, 3 or 4 years ago when they first started training these LLMs. So they realize that there's going to be a diminished benefit coming back from these things. Now, what's going on now is not only are we going to see a diminished benefit from creating net new data, but much of the data that we would normally target to scrape in order to train these bots, in order to train these LLMs, is going to be disallowed. And if that's the case, you're going to pay for it. And if that's the case, then we got a problem, because if there's not a lot of new information that they're allowed to scrape, then the LLMs are going to have a diminishing return over time. So widespread web data blocking is really what I think is going to be the trend moving forward. An increasing number of websites are implementing measures such as robot.txt, files, CAPTCHAs, paywalls, and anti-scraping technologies like we just read with Cloudflare, preventing automated data collection by LLM developers. And again, this is something we could do for a long period of time. We could actually, in search engines that were cataloging the entire internet, they would have bots that would run off and basically collect information. So when you type something in to a search engine, you're actually going into a database and you're looking at indexes that were created by bots that are going out and scraping the internet. The LLMs go a step further. So not only do they scrape the location of the data and the subject matters and indexing what information is there, but they learn from the information and create a knowledge model based on the information. That's a bit of a different trick. Now, it's going to have more value to it, but if we disallow access to the information, they're going to cease to have that capability. So this comes down to content